live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Ricciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show. Welcome to the FTN Bets Cast for Thursday, May 26th here at FTN Bets, sponsored by Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players, and now you could win on Sleeper by playing in their new over-under game. It's super easy to play. So first, in any sport, you're going to choose two or more of the players that you like, and you're going to pick whether they're going to go over or under their listed total. So for example, in a sport like basketball here today, we could have something like the number of points, the number of rebounds, number of assists, even something like the number of three-pointers, steals, blocks. There are plenty of different things that we can choose here. Once we choose which ones we want, then we're going to choose an amount of money we want to enter into the contest. If we guess right, we can win anywhere from 2 times all the way up to 20 times our money if we go 5 of 5 and get all 5 correct. But the main reason why I'm excited about the new Sleeper over-under game is that it's the only app where I can join with my buddies and we could all play together. It has a built-in group chat where I can see what you're playing, you can see what I'm playing. We could all see what the guy who's won 3 days in our group is playing. And it's insanely fun when everybody is sweating it out and riding it all together. So stop what you're doing right now, download the Sleeper app, play their new over-under game, have some fun with your friends, and make a little bit of money in the process. On your mobile phone, you can join our listener group on Sleeper by going to sleeper.com/FTNBets. And Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit made up to $100 if you do it. Again, go down to the description. You'll see it there. Sleeper.com/FTNBets, and you'll get set up for that $100 match on your first deposit. There are terms and conditions that apply, so see the Sleeper's terms of use for those details. Today, we have Game 5 in the Western Conference for the NBA Finals to talk about here today. The Dallas Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors. Golden State is up 3-1 in this series. They were up 3-0. Game 4 was the first loss for the Warriors here. No team has ever come back for a 3-0 deficit. So the Mavericks have a lot of work to do if they want to get that done to be the first team to ever do that. The series leaves Dallas now and moves back to Golden State, which is only going to make it a lot tougher for them. And, you know, we've kind of seen this pattern with Golden State before. They went up on Memphis. They kind of, I don't want to say they punted a game in Memphis, just like they didn't technically punt the game in Dallas the last game. But you saw some very similar things here. You saw a lot of the main guys for Golden State play less minutes in that most recent game than they had in the first 3 games of the series. So you're thinking, or at least my thinking, is that as it's going back to Golden State here for a game, for a chance for them to close it out, there's going to be a lot of intensity. There's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of screaming fans in that arena. And I think that Golden State is going to feed off of that energy and have a really, really, really good game here today to close out the Dallas Mavericks, just like they did going back to Game 6 against the Memphis Grizzlies to close them out in Golden State as well. So there's a lot of other similarities between those two games here too. You look at the closeout game against Memphis, the spread on that game was -7, -7.5 for the Golden State Warriors. The spread today for the Golden State Warriors, -7, -7.5 as well. So, you know, you can get that at -110, basically on all the major sports books that we work with the exception of MGM. MGM has it boosted up a little bit there at a 7.5. So if you want to play the Dallas Mavericks, plus 7.5 at -105 is the best number you can get on them. Over on MGM is the place to play that. Every other book that we work with has this game at -7, -110 to the over and the under there. So again, if you want to play the Dallas side of this game, plus 7.5, bet MGM, -105. They're almost enticing you to play that number by giving you the half a point and by going -105, which only makes me like the -7 even better for the Golden State Warriors here. The Warriors' first 3 wins in the series, 2 of which were at home, were by 25 points and by 9 points. The third win, which was in Dallas, was also by 9 points as well. So every game that the Warriors won so far in this series, they've won by at least 9 points. So I don't mind laying that -7 here today, which again, you can get at -110 on every single site that we work with the, you know, online sports books here today. So now let's talk about the total here a little bit. The total, there's not a lot to really talk about in terms of action. It opened at 216. A bunch of sites have it at 215.5. DraftKings at minus 110 is the place that I think you can play it. There's a couple other ones. I think Caesars has it at minus 110 and PointsBet is minus 110. BetMGM is minus 110. So like I said, that 215.5 is minus 110 to the over and the under on most of the books that are out there in the market. You can find an under 216 still over on Unibet. It is minus 113, so it is juiced up a little bit there if you want to play it, but you can get an under at a little bit of a better price than the 215, or a little bit of a better number than the 215.5, and technically a little bit of a better price as well. So into 4 games so far in this series, let's see. Golden State, the first game was 199 points. The second game was 243 points. The 243 is the big outlier so far in this series. The third game was 209 points. The fourth game was 226. And we got a number of 215.5, which is right smack dab in the middle of these 4 numbers here. So if you took all these numbers and kind of put them on a number line, you got 199, you got 209, you got today's spread of 215.5, and then you have 228 and 243. I mean, if anything, I would think the lean would probably have to be to the over here, even though Golden State in 2 of the 3 wins that they had, the total has gone under. I think the over is probably the better way to play this one. The Dallas Mavericks are going to fight all the way to the end, one way or another here, because if they lose, they're going home. So they don't have any, they don't have to save anybody for a rainy day. You might see 45 minutes out of Luka today. You're going to have to, basically, if they want to win this game. So, I'm thinking this is going to be a chance for this game to be very high scoring. Again, remember the last closeout game, we had that big Klay Thompson game. He's been, I don't want to say he's been quiet, but he hasn't been explosive yet this series. So maybe he has another one of those big games in him. If I'm going to put a bet down on anything here with the total, I think the over is what I like a lot more than the under here. So that's the way that I would be looking at it. And remember, you can play that over basically anywhere today. 215.5 minus 110. You can find it at minus 110. So don't bother playing at 216 and don't bother paying any more than minus 110. There's enough books out there where you should have one available to you that you can get it at that price. Now that's going to bring us to the player prop discussion for today. And there are 4 that I'm looking at here that are interesting. Some of them that I'm going to like a little better on the sports books. Some of them that I may like a little bit better over on the Sleeper app. Remember, go down to the description here, sleeper.com/FTNBets. If you sign up through that link, they will give you a $100 deposit match on your first deposit, up to $100. If you can afford it, I would definitely tell you guys to put the whole $100 in. Get the free 100 that they're giving you. You get $200 to play with, and then you can go and make some money, which we'll talk about later on at the end of the show. But for now, I want to talk about some of the prop plays that I'm interested in here today. The first one is going to be Andrew Wiggins under 6.5 rebounds. This is one that I'm definitely interested in on Sleeper. Minus 130 to minus 145 is the numbers out there in the market. Wiggins had one big rebounding game this series where he had 11, but in each of the other 3 games that they played, he only had 5. So 6.5 seems like it's very high compared to that. The other thing too is like even during the regular season, this is a guy who averaged under 5 rebounds per game. So for the number to be 6.5 here, I just think it's too high at the moment. If it was 5.5, I probably wouldn't touch it and I wouldn't be interested. But I do think we have some value here on the 6.5 with Andrew Wiggins. Again, minus 130 to minus 145 on the sports books means that this is something that we would rather play over on the Sleeper app. Because remember, minus 130, minus 145, you're talking about a implied probability of like 57 to 58%. And what I mean by that is, the books and the bettors are giving this like a 57, 58% chance to happen. And that's much higher than you normally see with a lot of these, minus 110s, 52% kind of chance here. So I do really like the Andrew Wiggins under 6.5 rebounds here. That's going to be my first play of the day. One of my favorite plays to play on the sports books today, FanDuel plus 114, Jalen Brunson over 3.5 assists. Now, Brunson has not been crushing this number, but he had 5 in the first game, 3 in the second game, 5 in the third, 4 in the fourth. That means in 3 of the 4 games that they played, he's gone over that 3.5 number and cashed on this for us. Again, we're not getting 7s, we're not getting 12s, we're not getting, 15s and seeing that, oh my God, the number's 3.5. But, for a guy who has gone over this in 3 or 4 games and has done it by more than an assist in 2 of those 3 games, I think this is one that we can definitely look at and say, good chance, that we're going to get Jalen Brunson going over today. And the thing I really like about it, plus 114 on FanDuel is the payout price. That's one of the better payouts that we can get. I think most other books have this at plus money as well. I think the only one that has it below even money is Caesars at minus 105, I think. Yeah, let me just double check. Yeah, minus 105. So Caesars has this at minus 105. Everybody else has it at even money, plus 102, plus 104, plus 108. FanDuel being the top at plus 114 on Jalen Brunson, over 3.5 assists. So that's one I'm going to be playing on the sports book, and FanDuel specifically is the sports book I'm looking at. Next one I want to talk about, Luka Doncic over 9.5 rebounds here. Minus 124 on FanDuel, up to minus 135 on some of the other books. He had 14 in the last game. He had 11 in the game before that. Averaged 9.3 rebounds in 35 minutes of action during the regular season. Again, he's playing about 38 minutes a night so far in this series against the Golden State Warriors. So he is playing about, a little less than 10% more minutes there. But again, if you give him even a little less than 10%, now his average at 9.3 goes up to a little over 10, which makes this a decent value here for you. Now, again, I don't want to play this on the sports books at minus 124, but the minus 124 to minus 135 is like a 55, 57% chance of happening. That is definitely something that I'm interested in. Luka Doncic over 9.5 rebounds, something I would be looking at over on the sleeper app. And then the last one I want to talk about is one that we cashed last game, and I'm going to go right back to the well here because we are getting it a little bit discounted, and I feel like it's just a good number again. So last game, I think the number was 7.5. So we needed 8 to cash. Today, the number is 8.5. So we need 9 to cash, but we're getting it juiced down at minus 108 over on FanDuel. In 3 of the 4 games of this series, Draymond Green has reached double digits. Now, again, he's not scoring 20. He's barely getting there at like 10, but that's still 3 of the 4 games where he got the double digits. If he gets the double digits again today, guess what, guys? We're going to cash this bet again. And we bet this the last game and we cashed it as well. So I'm going to stick with it. And here's, again, when you look at these things that are hopefully more likely to happen than not, there are certain things that give you faith in them. One of the things that gives me faith in it is the number of field goal attempts a guy's taking. Draymond Green averaged less than 6 per game during the season. He hasn't taken less than 6 in any game of this series. And in the last 2 games, he took 8 and 10 field goal attempts while also getting to the free throw line a couple times as well. So that means he's giving himself the chance now to score, 20 plus potential points. And we only need him to get to 9 in order to cash this here today. So Draymond, I think, is a very, very good play. I like Draymond Green over 8.5 points, minus 108 on FanDuel. But remember, this is another one of those that I would rather just play this straight up on a sports book than include it into my sleeper play of the day. But that does bring us to the sleeper play of the day here at FTNBets. So remember, if you put in that $100, you use that promo code listed below in the description, sleeper.com/FTNBets. That means you will deposit 100 and you will have 200 in your account to play with. If you put that 200 on a, 2-leg contest entry and you win both legs, you're going to get a payout of plus 300 on that $200. Or say it this way, you put in $100 out of pocket and you will have the opportunity to turn that into $600 today in your account if you guess right, which would be a plus 500 return. And here's the way that I'm going to go about doing it. I'm going to go with Luka Doncic over 9.5 rebounds as the first leg of my, contest play. And then the second leg of my contest play is going to be Andrew Wiggins under 6.5 rebounds. So again, we're talking about a guy who in 3 of the 4 games of the series only had 5 rebounds. That's why I like the under. This number should be 5.5. The fact that it's 6.5 it doesn't scare me at all, actually. It just means we have more value that's sitting there. So I do like the under on Andrew Wiggins. And then the Luka Doncic one, I mean, you guys know what I said. He had 14 and 11 rebounds in the last 2 games. He needs to get 10 rebounds today to cash this for us. It's like in the minus 130 range overall. So I think this is a very good deal as well. So my sleeper play of the day, Andrew Wiggins under 6.5 rebounds, Luka Doncic over 9.5 rebounds. And that's going to wrap it up for the FTN Betscast here at FTN Bets, sponsored by our good friends at Sleeper. Good luck today, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.